Tam bhuta nilayam devam Suparnam upadbhavatam Yam pashyati na pashyata Chakshurasya narishyati Tam bhuta nilayam devam Suparnam upadbhavatam Yam pashyati na pashyantam Chakshurasya narishyati Tam bhuta nilayam devam Suparnam upadhavatam. Vaishnavas, please. Yam pashyati na pashyantam Chakshurasya narishyati Tam bhuta nilayam devam Suparnam upadbhavata Yam pashyati na pashyantam Chakshurasya narishyati Tam bhuta nilayam devam Suparnam upadbhavatam. Yam, he whom pashyati, the living entity sees. Na, not. Pashyantam, although always seen. Chakshu, eye. Yasya, whose. Na, never. Rishyati, diminishes. Tam, him. Bhutanilayam, the original source of all living entities. Devam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Suparnam, who accompanies the living entity as a friend. Upadbhavata, everyone should worship. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhacharana Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead constantly watches the activities of the world, no one sees Him. However, one should not think that because no one sees Him, He doesn't see. For His power to see is never diminished. Therefore, everyone should worship the Supreme, the Super Soul, who always stays with the individual soul as a friend. Purport. It's quite long purport. Do we have another mic for everyone reading a little? Okay. Offering prayers to Krishna, Srimati Kunti Devi, the mother of the Pandavas, said, Alakshyam sarva bhutanam anta bahir avasthitam. Krishna, you reside both inside and outside of everything, yet the unintelligent conditioned soul cannot see you. In Bhagavad Gita it is said that one can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead through Jnana Chakshusha, eyes of knowledge. He who opens these eyes of knowledge is called a spiritual master. Thus, we offer our prayers to the spiritual master with the following shloka. Om Gyanaatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, who with the touch light of knowledge has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance. Gautamiya Tantra. The Guru's task is to open the disciple's eyes of knowledge. When the disciple is awakened from ignorance to knowledge, he can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead everywhere, because the Lord actually is everywhere. Andantarastha paramanuchayantarastham. The Lord resides within this universe. He resides within the hearts of all living entities, and He resides even within the atom. Because we lack perfect knowledge, we cannot see God, but a little deliberation can help us to see God everywhere. This requires training. With a little deliberation, even the most degraded person can perceive the presence of God. If we take into account whose property is the vast ocean, whose property is the vast land, how the sky exists, how the numerous millions of stars and planets are set in the sky, who has made this universe and whose property it is, we should certainly come to the conclusion that there is a proprietor of everything. When we claim proprietorship over a certain piece of land, whether individually or for our families or nations, we should also consider how we become the proprietors. The land was there before our birth. Before we came to the land. How did it become our property? Such deliberation will help us understand that there is a supreme proprietor of everything, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Godhead is always awake. In the conditioned stage, we forget things because we change our bodies, but because the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not change His body, He remembers past, present, and future. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4.1, Imam vivasvate yagam praktava nahama vyayam. I spoke this science of God, Bhagavad Gita, to the Sun God at least 40 million years ago. When Arjuna inquired from Krishna how he could remember incidents that had taken place so long ago, the Lord answered that Arjuna was also present at that time. Because Arjuna is Krishna's friend, wherever Krishna goes, Arjuna goes. But the difference is that Krishna remembers everything, whereas the living entity, like Arjuna, being a minute particle of the Supreme Lord, forgets. Therefore it is said, the Lord's vigilance is never diminished. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 15.15. Sarvasya chaham hridisa nivishto matak smritirgyanam apohanam cha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead in His Paramatma feature is always present within the hearts of all living entities, and from Him come memory, knowledge and forgetfulness. This is also indicated in the verse by word Suparnam, which means friend. In the Svetashvatara Upanishad 4.6, it is therefore said, Dva Suparna Sayujya Sakya Sammanam Vriksham Parishavsvajate. Two birds are sitting on the same tree as friends. One bird is eating the fruit of the tree, and other is simply observing. This observing bird is always present as a friend to the eaten bird and giving him remembrance of things he wanted to do. Thus, if we take into account the Supreme Personality of Godhead in our daily affairs, we can see Him, or at least perceive His presence everywhere. The words Chakshushyakyasya na rishyati means that although we cannot see Him, this doesn't mean that He cannot see us, nor does He die when the cosmic manifestation is annihilated. The example is given in this connection that the sunshine is present when the sun is present. But when the sun is not present, or when we cannot see the sun, as in UK, this doesn't mean that the sun is lost. The sun is there, but we cannot see it. Similarly, although we cannot see the Supreme Personality of Godhead in our present darkness, our lack of knowledge, He is always present, seeing our activities as the Paramatma. He is the witness and advisor, Upadrashta and Anumanta. Therefore, by following the instructions of the spiritual master and studying authorized literatures, one can understand that God is present before us, seeing everything, although we have no eyes with which to see Him. Just a wonderful purport by Srila Prabhupada. Om Gina Timrandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Sva Padantikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Pyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Svaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Ratnatha Svaminiti Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pankum Giri Mutkripata Mahamadashi Gurum Janatarana Hare Krishna. Just a wonderful verse and purport. I really like this, long purports by Prabhupada, which is just perfect. You can just read the whole time and read and go on. Read it. I don't know what to do, but maybe we can try to just follow Prabhupada's purport today, and I will share some thoughts about this. I don't know if we'll be able to finish this today or not, but let's try. So, in the beginning, first of all, Srila Prabhupada, he quoted Srimati Kunti Devi. Krishna, you reside both inside and outside of everything, yet intelligent conditioned soul cannot see you. Yes. So, we have deities, hide from our eyes. At the same time, usually we think that we came to the deities to see them. But what we just read today, we came in front of the deities for they see us. That's the whole point. Yes. You agree with this? We just celebrated Janmashtami, and I was lucky enough to perform pilgrimage to Bhaktivedanta Minor Holy Dham. And I think 60,000 devotees, came for darshan Shri Radha Govinda on Janmashtami. And just very interesting, when we stayed in line to get a darshan, it was maybe just an hour line, not so long. It's not that you go into Balaji, in Tirupati, and should stay the whole, day, yes, climbing the hill, no. Completely different. I mean, to the UK people, yes, it sounds like, stay in line for 1 hour. But I remember when the war in Ukraine started, and, no food, no money, nothing. All the civilization just broke in 2 days, in 1 day, completely broken civilization. And just to get a kg of carrot or potato, you have to stay in line for at least 6 or 8 hours just, to get little of carrot or potato. That's it, So to stay 8 hours, just carrot or potato, cabbage maybe if you're lucky enough. So just for an hour, lying for the deities. Still a lot of people say, no, it's so crowded. Okay. But anyway, that's not why I mentioned this story. It was interesting, some devotees, they stay in line and they was like, a whole line. Or I have to stay because my parents brought me here. Or that's our tradition or something like this, different motivation. But some devotees, they stay, with really the whole hour, they stayed and in such a deep meditation, they're going to see the Lord and the Lord going to see them. And they were trying to prepare for this darshan, they're trying to pray, they try to, to go deeper in their heart. It's so wonderful, to learn from these devotees. Yeah, because we don't have this in our Western culture, this relationship with the deities, yes. So that's a reality. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he stayed in back of Garuda Stamba, yes. We also have Garuda here. So Mahaprabhu, when he came to the darshan of Lord Jagannath, he was high, close to Garuda Stamba, this column is Garuda. Because one of the reasons was of his meditation. Garuda is pure devotee of the Lord. So Lords want to see Garuda. And if I stay, close to Garuda, maybe he will see me as well, yeah? Very beautiful meditation. So, again, we think that we are doer, we think how this verse in Bhagavad Gita, kartaham iti manyate, gunah karmanya sarvashah, ahankara vimudhatma, kartaham iti manyate, ahankara vimudhatma. This ahankara, this false ego, makes us vimudha. Mudha is like fool. Vimudha, greatest fool. We can translate like this, yeah. So, kartaham iti manyate. We think that we are kartaham. Karta, like the reason of everything. I'm the doer, yes. Aham, me. Iti manyate, this conditioned soul, think about this. And, yeah. But in reality, the only person who really, observes everything is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in his aspect of Paramatma, he is present everywhere. As we chant every morning, every evening, and maybe more often, Bahir Nrsimha, Hridaya Nrsimha, Lord Nrsimha Dev, he is inside and outside. Like Bahir, outside, Hridaya, in my heart as well. And when Nrsimha Dev, when Hiranyakashipu, he asks Prahlada, where is your Lord? Who you praying right now, where is he? He's everywhere. Everywhere, even this column, yes, he is. That's why Lord Nrsimha Dev, he has to, to came to this column and take birth, appeared from this column. Yeah, wonderful story, wonderful pastime as well. We just finished this pastime because it was described in 7th canto of Bhagavatam. Okay, and to see this reality, to see this Lord everywhere, we need this mercy. We need a special mercy of spiritual master. Om Agyanati Mirandasya. Shilpada quoted this verse. That's why in this regard Shilpada quoted this verse. Shilpada told us that it requires some training. Really short but really important sentence, yes? It's like, this requires training. And Shilpada is, in his Lila, in his pastimes, he gave us a lot of these wonderful examples, how he teaches his disciples to see Krishna everywhere. Just one story came to my mind, maybe have another one, maybe have other stories in this regard. I remember when Shilpada once he travels, it was a long travel, I believe from Australia to India or something like this, with not direct fly, so they stay maybe in Thailand or somewhere. I don't remember exactly. And Shrilapada, he asked for orange. And it was quite difficult to get, an orange in the airport or something like this, yes. So, but anyway, somehow other disciples, I think that was Shrutakirti, they brought this orange. He brought this orange, and Shrilapada, he said, look at this orange. You see, this is this perfect packing for the orange juice. So even in this regard, Shrilapada, he sees Krishna everywhere. So Krishna, he arranged everything. He arranged this world in such a way that you can, pack this orange juice in such a wonderful, orange fruit, and it can, serve all these good qualities for a long time, fresh, and nutrition. Yes, so Shrilapada, he sees Krishna everywhere. And he teaches this his disciples as well. Maybe you have other stories in this regard? Yes.
Yeah, one time they were walking in the park with Srila Prabhupada, and one of the devotees said to him, is this like the kingdom of God? And Srila Prabhupada turned around and looked at him and said, this is the kingdom of God.
Yeah. I remember one more story, just came to my mind and escaped. Just a moment. Oh yeah. Who was this? Who was this disciple? Oh, this was Indradyumna Maharaj. Indradyumna Swami, he traveled once with Srila Prabhupada. This was his first time, his close association with Srila Prabhupada. And they flew in some plane, and Indradyumna Maharaj, at that time, Indradyumna Prabhu, I think, he was Brahmacharya, or maybe even Grihastha at that time. So he sat in a plane with Prabhupada, and they started to show this movie. And Indradyumna Swami, Indradyumna, at that time he thought, okay, this is Maya, I should completely be absorbed on Krishna, and he was like, this is Maya, I shouldn't see this TV, and Shri Kodantama Prasasha Bhagavan ki jai. So as a young devotee, he thought, yes, everything is Maya, I should be Krishna consciousness, and I shouldn't, watch these movies. And then he closed his eyes, and then he listened to laugh, really, wonderful laugh he heard, and who's laughing? What's going on? Oh, this is Maya. Then finally, he realized, and he opened his eyes, and he saw that Prabhupada is laughing. Prabhupada laughing, more louder than everyone in the plane. Yeah, they were shouting up the movie, and and in the Indradyumna Prabhu at the time, he asked, okay, not directly from Prabhupada, but he was, okay, after some time he asked Shrilapada's servant, can you ask a question? I'm afraid to ask this question for Prabhupada, but can you ask a question? This movie, this is like Maya, so how Prabhupada can laugh from this, Maya movie? and this Prabhupada's servant, I forget who was at the time, his servant, but he came to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, why not? I mean, this is Krishna as well. You can see Krishna here, because in Bhagavad Gita it is said, Rasaham apsakantaya prabhasmi shashisurayo Shabdakhe Paurusham Nrishu. Yes, I mean, Shabdakhe Paurusham Nrishu. Paurusham Nrishu, I'm talent in the person. So Charlie Chaplin is the best of comics. And this humor also is present in spiritual world, and his humor is more origin. He mentioned this word origin. This origin humor is this humor from the spiritual. Yeah, and so I can from this Charlie Chaplin's, these comedies, I can easily remember Krishna. So Shrilapada, we have hundreds of these stories, wonderful stories with Prabhupada regard. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so we need this mercy of spiritual master to, this requires training. And this is training, yes. We can meditate on different aspects as Raso Hamapsa County. Every time we drink water, we can remember Krishna. Every time we see this horizontal rain in Scotland, with these little drops, we can remember this pastime when during Jalan Yatra, this gopis, they, this heavily huge drops of rain which is falling during the rain season in India, in Vrindavan, yes. So that's why gopi, when they serve the Surya and the Shishirada Krishna, Shirada Shyama Sundar, and they're chanting the special mantras to make these drops really small, just to refreshment of the Shishirada and Krishna. And every time we see this, Scottish rain, we can remember this pastime, for example. So it requires training. That's why it's really important to be strict in our sadhana and to read Prabhupada's books, because they're really helpful in this regard. Shilpada gave other examples, okay. So the Supreme Godhead is always awake. In the conditioned stage, we forget things because we change our bodies, but because the Supreme Personality of Godhead doesn't change his body, he remembers past, present, and future. Yes, another wonderful example when Krishna and Arjuna. Yeah. Sometimes we may think, okay, why I cannot remember my previous life, but this greatest mercy. It's really greatest mercy. You can imagine you remember your previous lives, and you cannot even think, who am I? Am I don't know, a butterfly from one previous life, and I should collect some nectar from the flowers, or maybe I'm a pig and I should enjoy a stool, or maybe I, some, I don't know, Scottish fighter for the freedom in 1,000 years ago. And I should fight with English, English king, I don't know. It causes a lot of confusion. So that's why that's the greatest mercy we can remember our previous lives. Still, even if we don't remember our previous lives, this bhakti, this devotional service is always remain, if we had any. Yeah, sure. Shilpada, he gave an answer to your question. He gave an example. First of all, with a little deliberation, even the most degraded person can perceive the presence of God. If we take in account whose property is the West Ocean, whose property is the West Land, how the sky exists, how the numerous millions of stars and planets are set in the sky, who has made the universe, and whose property it is, we should certainly come to the conclusion that there is a proprietor of everything. When we claim proprietorship over the certain piece of land, whatever individually or for our families or nations, we should also consider how we became the proprietors. The land was there before our birth, before we came to the land. How did it become our property? Such deliberation will help us understand that there is a supreme proprietor of everything, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's one example. Again, we should understand Aishwarya. We should understand this, great presence of Krishna everywhere. That's why we should, before we start 10th canto, we should read 9 first cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. And from the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, these statements, they started this position of the Lord. Who is Lord? His position. The very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Janmadiyasya yatan vayati taratashtarthesha pigyat swarat tene brahma hridaya dikavaye mukhyanti yat surayah tejovari mridam yatha vinimaya yatra tarisargamrisha dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi. So, one of the most important verses. Everything, the whole philosophy, Shilapada, everything Shilapada wants us to know is there in this first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, in this first purport of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, so this is really important to understand this, and it's really helpful. And also stories that I mentioned, that Prabhupada, he, through his pastimes, through his lila, he teaches us how to train. Thank you for sharing this. Actually, two things came to my mind when you was talking. First of all, one thought was about name, Krishna names, and actually, every name in this world is Krishna names. Another Prabhupada story. I think that was Satsvarupa Maharaj, and he asked Prabhupada, how is it possible? All the names of this world are actually Krishna names? And Prabhupada asked, what is your name? He said, Steve. What does it mean? This name, Stephen, yes? This means small, little, yes? And Prabhupada, so this is Krishna? He's, how to say it in English? Like, he is bigger than the biggest and smaller than the smallest. Yes, so Stephen, also Krishna, Krishna names. So all the names, we have, they actually, somehow or there's Krishna names as well. So even by using someone's names, we can remember Krishna in this regard, And another thing came to my mind. This one is really, I would say, personal, but I would like to share this story. Maybe we have 10 minutes for this. It's a long story, but I will try to make. I can stop to say a few words about this. I had a best friend. I met him. He was a devotee. We met maybe 2020, maybe 2011, something like this. He was born in 1978, and he was like one of my closest friends. He just left his body maybe a week ago, and actually 2 years ago approximately, he has some problem with his health, and how to say it, like, he was quite young and he was successful. He was working in IT sphere. He was successful, IT guy, and he got a lot of money. Especially, he worked for some U.S. companies, and this money in Ukraine, you can live as a king. Yeah, so he was quite successful. He was just maybe married a couple of years ago. Yes, got married, and his wife, he gave birth, to their little daughter, and just some health problem came in his life, and no even doctors, they didn't know what's going on, but just day by day, month by month, year by year, it became worse and worse. So 2 years ago he lost his ability to see. He became blind, and he felt really, terrible. In his body condition also was terrible, and can you imagine this, situation when he was like young, successful, just got married, your daughter was just born, and just you lost your ability to see. You're suffering a lot, from the material disease. No doctors can help you. No one knows what's going on with you. The war started in Ukraine as well, the same time approximately. And that was the time, he was like, what to do, and it was difficult for him, obviously, but the time he took initiation from his spiritual master, His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaja. He gave him his shelter, and that was the first in my life I even heard about this, when during initiation ceremony he didn't give this vow to chant 16 rounds because he wasn't able to do so. It was impossible his situation, he wasn't able even to chant 16 rounds. He felt so terrible. And after the initiation ceremony, after a couple months, his health became more or less stable. Yes, he stayed like blind, but at the same time, at least he was able to more or less to tolerate his body. So he got some more time, and he spent this time just listening to Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam. For 2 years, every day, for 6, for 8, for 10 hours a day, he just listened to Bhagavatam. He discussed Bhagavatam with devotees. He met in Zoom, and somehow or other, he just really absorbed in this Bhagavata Purana. And the wonderful thing, he wasn't like, how to say it, what is this English word? I always forget this, but he was, in his situation, his condition, the common thing to do was just to think, okay, Krishna, you're not here. Or if you're here, why you let, this happen in my life? But still, he get this mercy, he got some time, and he used this time properly. He wasn't offended by Krishna. He was like, really take shelter. He took shelter in Krishna pastimes. And and maybe a couple months ago, maybe in June, in the end of June, his health became even more terrible. He started to lose his ability to listen as well. So became blind already, and he lost his ability to listen as well. He lost the ability to taste food, and he lost his ability to move. So the only sense left was like, he was able to breathe, to speak, and to touch. That's it. He was able to eat, but again, he didn't taste the food. And a couple of months, he was struggling in this condition. And my last actual dialogue with him was when it was some kind of dialogue, when he was able to listen a little, just a little. And it was on the 3rd of July. I called him, yes, and he told me that actually, in this condition, no any word of prajalpa, he would completely absorb in Krishna consciousness. And he told me, yes, it is a little difficult for me to concentrate on Krishna holy names. At the same time, I took shelter by chanting our Acharya's bhajans. And he quoted, this just Gurudev prayers, Gurudev kripa bindu diya, koro edase trina pekhatihin. And he chanted these bhajans, the whole bhajans, he learned by heart, and he just translated them. He didn't just, knew this, how to say it, like, just Sanskrit, just as a parrot, learn something. No, he really understands the meaning of the bhajans, and when he quoted them, each word of bhajans he meditated, was with this deepest realization, just deepest realization, and so simple, and so just when his words just came directly to your heart, just changed everything. So I knew this, meaning of these bhajans, but at the same time, when he spoke them, when he pronounced them, just struck your heart. He quoted some shlokas. And he told me, whatever I was able to put in my mind during my lifetime, now I got it, But, because I cannot hear anymore, I cannot put anything new, anything else. So everything is already there. I can meditate upon these things. So in his mind, every day, he came to Mangalarati, he prayed, some Saradava, Nalalid, Haloka, Namaste Narasimha. Every day, every evening, Gaurarati as well, you know. In his mind he meditated upon this, and I don't know, you know, so he meditated on this bhajans of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's bhajans, Gopinath, different one, you know, with these different feelings, and he really took shelter of devotees. His humility was like, you know, completely melted my heart, you know. Whatever he says with such deep humility, you know, no any trace of pride, no any trace of false ego, you know, just humility as it is. And I can speak a lot, but you know, we have to finish class right now. And I mentioned this because you mentioned this, you know, that's previous acharyas, yes. And he took shelter, you know, by this, remembering these bhajans of previous acharyas really was helpful to him, you know, really. He shared this to me. And yeah, and because of this, he was sometimes, you know, this mercy of holy names also revealed to him. That was he mentioned, yeah. He just passed away a week ago, but yeah, he teaches me a lot, you know. I still under this, you know, because we're really close, you know. Sometimes some devotees left, and you know, yes, someone left, you know. But when this is your friend, you know, because I remember his wedding. I remember when his daughter was born. I remember, you know, when we described, you know, our family lives, when, you know, how we struggle from these family lives, from our wives' minds, you know, these things, you know. It was really close, yeah, but, yeah. Any comments or questions? Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana ki jai, Jai Gaura Premanande.